Meghan Markle here.
Today is October 27, 2022. It is exactly 2 a.m. There's a lot to share with you. Yesterday, Sunday, I was lazy. After I finished editing whatever I recorded the day prior, I record something else. I just forget it. I didn't feel like editing anymore. Even though I had the time to do it, but I was not in the mood. But anyway, there are a lot to share with you because Harry and Megan posted something on her IG and the squad been talking about it. So I'm probably gonna edit this video that I'm talking in right now before I edit the one that I recorded yesterday. So let's get started. I want to get some of those tweets out of the way. Some of them are mixed up a little bit, and then I've added some of the tweets regarding Megan going pumpkin at the farm with the kids, pumpkin picking. All right, so Mr. Earthshot and Madam Early Childhood Years are moving into Forest Lodge, shutting down 150 acres of parkland, an environmental center used by children to learn about nature. What? And even closing public roads. Nothing says saving the planet and nurturing the next generation quite like a bulldozing nature for your own back garden. Now just imagine if it was the other couple who had closed a nature center to make way for their garden. Wow. Watch what they do, not what they say. Alright, let's see here. Ooh, it's very blurry. The sudden scrutiny comes at an awkward time for Prince William, whose imminent move to Forest Lodge has meant the closure of 60 hectare, 150 acres of parkland previously open to the public, and the creation of a taxpayer-funded police security cordon restricting access for ramblers and dog walkers, a tourist car park, a gate used by local residents, and 2 roads have also been closed, along with an environmental center run by a Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, and Oxfordshire Wildlife Trust and used by school children learning about nature. Let me read some of these and then move on. Windsor Great Park belonged to the British royal family. That's why they were allowed to annex some without buying or asking permission. Also, it's a great park, meaning large, so I hazard there's plenty left for dogs, ramblers, and tourists. They'll probably rebuild the sanctuaries elsewhere. But with the amount of food banks in the country, they closed the nature center to build it somewhere else. On whose money, may I ask? Let me leave that alone, okay? Because you see the unfairness of everything. Next tweet. Renovation. Okay. I'm old enough to remember when folks paid for renovation on cottage they were renting, plus pay rent and advance, but then some clown said evicting rent-paying tenant was a way to save money. They've received no rent for nearly 3 years and likely never will. Boy Finance. Okay, so she's making reference to Fragmore, that Harry and Meghan pay for the renovation, and they pay rent even though they were not living there, but Harry wanted to keep it when he comes to the UK as his headquarters, but his father took it away from him anyway. All right, remember how they said it was property meant for only working royals too? If I knew, I've since forgotten that lie. Yeah, the royalists will always make excuses. The fact that it from the get-go, from the point of beginning of Fragmore, it was a gift. All right, so this is what I would. From the very start, the point of beginning, Fragmore was a gift. All right, let's remove that. Send it. I don't want anything. All right, let's move on. I don't want this video to be too long. There's other thing. I just want to get these out of the way, some of the things that the squad were talking about. Okay, so this is another thing here. There's a reason why the British media don't like when Prince Harry and Meghan are not silent and do interviews exposing or correcting their false reporting. In response to more recent smear campaign misinformation in order to build up layers to this fake Meghan caricature, it's clear from her spokesperson that she did not lose an employee. Emily Robinson was hired for a project work which was completed successfully. If you did see this and you believed it, then this is for you and you've been corrected. It's a reminder that headlines on Meghan Sussex that might give a certain impression are often psychological, manipulative, and designed to mislead. P.S. If you didn't see this before and will know it's false, this is not necessarily for you, but I don't like the idea of normalizing, tolerating, or dismissing bullying out of pretense. It's not hurtful to the person targeted on a daily basis, and that's okay to let misinformation always go uncorrect. Okay, I think I spoke about it in one of the videos on Appu Team Sussex. So this is that. When contacted by PR Week UK for clarification on the departure, Liam Maguire, UK, and Europe Director of Communication for the Sussexes, suggested that Robinson had only been working with them on project basis. Okay, pretty much like freelancing. Handling briefs surrounding the Duchess's Netflix show With Love Meghan, which premiered in March, Maguire said, quote, Miss Robinson oversaw project-based work for a very successful season of With Love Meghan and additional support for her production company. I mean, sometimes the UK throw nonsense headline and hoping that the Sussexes will respond and then they will find the true context, the what really happened. He added, she did an excellent job and completed this project with great success. Prior to her work with the Sussexes, Robinson served stint at Netflix as Senior Director of Original Series Publicity and at, it goes on. So this was the fake one. You could pause and read. Okay, Kamala Tammany take that biscuit. 10 years of denigrating Epstein's victims with her lies. Bag it for God. I need to know why the taxi British media doesn't report on the British royal family's financial like they do the Sussexes. The British royal family get caught up in bribery, cash for title, slumlording, accepting money from shady figures, and yet it's all quietly swept away. Thank you for sharing. Personally, I believe and calling out and correcting particularly harmful fake news, misinformation, abuse, and highlighting the journalistic responsible. Certain crap is not worth amplifying, the constant divorce rumor, but this one definitely is. Okay, so she's saying here, not all the nonsense the tabloid put out about Harry and Meghan for us to share, but when there's something that needs to be correcting like this one, it's good to do the pushback. Because if we let it go, they're gonna keep going. Okay, I've worked freelance. See, it was freelance that the person did. I've done a lot of freelance work. I've worked freelance and some jobs have lasted anywhere from 2 years to just 3 months to cover medical leave. There are lots of project-based contractors and consultants out there. Archewell is not a place but a small organization. Who they hire or retain is not public policy. Okay, royalists don't know projects and what resources it takes to start one and finish it. That's because the leftover royals have no project and their portfolio just cosplay gigs. Thank you for putting this side by side. The truth get in the way of the taxi British media. Prince Andrew is getting too much press. We need to focus somewhere else. Meghan. Exactly. She's pretty much saying what Salty Island is thinking because Andrew is in big trouble. So the tabloid keeps talking about Andrew. So to shift the conversation, hey, let's talk about Meghan. And they create this nonsense. All right, next tweet. There's more comment, but let's move on. Okay, so there's this here. Prince Andrew pocketed pension scam funds. Eugenie got a slice too. Okay, I'm not going to read the article. I'm just skipping just this caption. Okay, they're really throwing the yucks under the bus. Now, when do we get to the wells and sausage fingers and the horse? I mean, I talk about this already. Well, not exactly this topic, but the York sisters and things like that in one of my videos. Let's see here. Andrew's daughters are up to their necks, and it too, I believe, Beatrice. I'm more think of Beatrice. Beatrice was pregnant and flew to Abu Dhabi and was with Prince Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the same royal family that owned the super yacht William and Kate sailed through Greece on this summer. Okay, I don't know much about that, but here it is. Princess Beatrice visit Middle East amid rumors of Andrew's secret royal lodge funding. It could be, okay, again, I'm not making excuses for them. It could be because Andrew cannot, show his face to the public, so he's using the daughters to go do his bidding. Because at one point, before the Queen passed, when the priest that did Meghan's wedding was trying to defend him, okay, and people still call foul, but the reason the priest came out, they were trying to bring Andrew back to the public. Okay, to continue doing his things. And his thing is to travel to the Middle East. That's Andrew. So when the narrative did not go too well, he had to go back in hiding again. So there's a possibility he's using his daughters to go to the Middle East to represent him. And then and that aspect is making the daughters look bad. All right. Again, I'm not making excuses, but I'm just saying. So this was in 2024. Prince Andrew's daughter Beatrice has been networking at the highest level in the Middle East amid the mystery surrounding her father's finances. Oh my God, it's too much. You could pause and read this, because I really don't want to stay too long on this topic. Maybe I should. Okay, let me just read the highlighted one. Beatrice's role as a cultural ambassador for the UK and the region may have helped secure funding to support Prince Andrew, allowing him to remain in royal lodge. Again, like I said, the father's probably sending her. I don't know. Alright, so there's more. I'm not gonna sit and read all of them. You could pause. There's more. Sheikh Abdul bin Zayed Al Nahyan. All shady stuff. Let's see here. Cause they did. Someone should also be investigating their links to the cesspit of human trafficking, otherwise known as Ukraine. There's that as well. And this is what I don't have full evidence, but with the older sister, there's some stuff with this kind of thing. Report: Jeffrey Epstein close pal Prince Andrew has been accused of sexually abusing 2 children, a 10-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl, at a nightclub in Kyiv. What? 10 and 12? What are they doing at the nightclub in Kyiv, Ukraine, earlier this year? A witness said he left the kids in critical condition. There were hardly any... I've heard of this before. Witness left kids critical condition. There were hardly any clothes on them. They were scared and crying. Okay? Allegedly. Okay? I don't know, but I've heard this before. I remember seeing this. Oh my God. So many things. These people are evil. Let me leave this alone. Because right now, today, in this video, that's not what I really want to talk about. Alright. Okay, let's go to... Okay. So let me pause and see. Let me pause and see what I could do. Alright, so I just added a whole bunch of tweets. So this video is definitely going to be on IP Team Sussex. There were some tweets I was starting to pile up. I've decided to move it over and talk about it here. Alright, so this is the next tweet. Like I said, Fergie as a royal of no mixed heritage gets so much grace from royalist commentators after reporting on her adultery, using her title to secure deals, shameful scandals, selling access, getting links to Epstein, overspending and getting into debt, setting up businesses and making massive losses to the tune of millions, and getting questionable loans. The closing comments about her are almost triumphant. 49 seconds. Let's see here. Screenshot in between.
Will she always be one scandal away from disaster? Whatever you think about Sarah, you can't question her tenacity, her sheer will to get things done.
And she is still here louder than ever, making more business decisions than ever, writing more books than ever. She's more present than she ever has been.
It is remarkable that despite all these financial problems that she's had over the years, Sarah has retained the affection of the British people in the way that she has. And I think that has demonstrated, if you like, a resilience that she has and a deep-seated affection that the public have for people who make mistakes but are prepared to come back and have another go.
Will she always be?
Well, let's just say when the tabloid in the UK wants to talk positive about someone, they'll find a way to make it sound good. So if you don't know the full story, you'll buy it. But there's one thing I said in the past, not knowing all of this. Okay, this is not someone I look into, Sarah Ferguson. But I remember when she went to the 92nd Y in New York, and I was giving her credit, and I was like, you know, she's trying, she did books, she did this, she did that, trying to make things work for her to not rely on the royal family, but not knowing all of the other things that I'm seeing now. Okay? But I don't know. She's only the same as all of them, just a different guise, privileged, rich, powerful, and doesn't give a shit about anyone else. I used to like her. Yep, that's me here. I used to like her until all of this. You see? You see? I didn't know about all of that because I didn't bother to look deep into her. She wasn't my periphery and I didn't really care too much. But I was seeing the facade of things where she's trying to write children books and do come to the US, do promoting her stuff. But it seems like with all of the millions they keep on getting, they do not know how to finance. They don't. There's that persona they're creating. They're living lavishly for the people when majority of people don't give a shit. But there's a certain lifestyle they want to upkeep, and that lifestyle requires a lot of money. And they don't know how to finance. They need to downsize and live in a comfortable way without being in debt like that. Okay, so let's continue. Let's put this. I used to like her until all this. I thought she was a vibe, but she knew what Epstein was about, and her decision to get embroiled with him says a lot about her values. True, she was just desperate for the money and didn't care how it had been come by. Wait, is that man still bitter with a certain duchess continue to ignore them? That last comment made me LOL when his bitterness, he's hurt. Okay, she get grace because she leaks. Fergie, let's see here. Fergie has fell upward her entire life. Any other woman would have been publicly destroyed for half of what she's done. That's what I'm saying as well. But the media still treat her like some quicker survivor, adultery, debt, corruption, Epstein ties, and she still get grace. That's not redemption. That's privilege on display. That is true. Okay, I'm assuming this was made before the latest revelation about her ties to Epstein. Let's see here. There's one response. It doesn't matter. She's white and British. That is true too. Let's go to the next one. I have a lot. So this video will be on RP Team Sussex, and the rest of the tweets that I have regarding Harry and the kids going doing pumpkin things, it will be on the next video. Royalty is supposed to be the pinnacle of high society, and yet the British royal family are behaving like the most ghetto people ever. I've said this before. I used to think of them very highly, but the way they behave is like childish. Not even children behave like that. And they call Monaco Eurotrash of royalty when the real trash is in the Buckingham Palace. Oh, did they call that the Monaco? Is it the Monaco or the one with Grace Kelly Offsprings? Okay, don't insult ghetto people. They have higher standard than the royal family. That is true. That is true. That is true. It's because the system make them live in the ghetto, but they do have a higher standard than the royal family. That is true. I agree with this. Remember when Meghan said the perception is nothing like the reality? Poor women get there and realize that some of the richest people on earth is also the poorest. If you know, like I was just saying about Ferguson, it's a facade of things. And they don't even have the money to upkeep that lifestyle that they're pursuing to be in and they need money in order to get what they want, the money to live that lifestyle. So the Middle East is, the money is not free. They have to do something for them to get the money. It's the same thing that they did with the Jews. Okay, white Jews, not the black, the true Jews. I'm talking about the white Jews that were living in Europe and some in the UK. Well, at that time it wasn't UK. I don't know what they had called it back then. But the royal family used to borrow money, a lot of money from the Jews. Then when it's time for them to return the money to the Jews, white Jews, and then they start that what you see happen in Germany with the extermination of them. So now the reason they used to borrow money from the Jews is because the Jews were very frugal with their money. So instead of returning the money back to the Jews, they create that narrative where they try to exterminate them. Okay? So now what they're doing now, they're doing almost the same thing now to the Middle East. I mean, the thing is right there. If the Middle Eastern people want to cater thinking that the royal family are their friend, they got it coming. They already start with Palestine. So when it's time for them to return whatever, I don't know how they're getting those bag full of cash, and when there's an investigation, they throw that out, they claim there's something else. The Middle East better be careful with the royal family, because once it's time for them to return the money, they're gonna start something so they don't pay it back. Okay? So it's the same thing that they did with the white Jews, and they're gonna do it with the Middle Eastern. Now, sidetrack here with what happened in the Middle East. Okay, they took the identity of the white Jews. Okay, they become like, for people to feel sorry for them because of the extermination that they caused on the white Jews. And they took the sympathy of the white Jews and they make it theirs. And then in order for them to go after Palestine, they pretend that they are the one who are suffering, okay, who were exterminated. But in fact, they're not that. I don't know if people look into that, if many of them look into their DNA, whatever they claim that they are, okay, it's in Europe. It's the same group, okay, that did the thing in Germany, extermination. They took the identity of the people they caused the pain to. They took the identity of the victim, make it theirs, and then they went on to the rampage and did what they doing in the Middle East. Okay? This is my perspective. I don't know where it's written anywhere, but this is the way that I see it, because this is the way those people behave. Okay? So let's get back to the original recording. But technically, the Middle Eastern people who are lending, I don't know what is the stipulation for giving money to the royal family, whatever it may be, they better be careful, because if they have to return, they, meaning the royal family or the British, have to return the money, when it's time to return it, they're gonna create a chaos, defame their names, their values, making them a target. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Alright, they're poorly educated. That is true. This is what I'm saying. They need to go to finance because they don't know how to finance. They're poorly educated, part of a feudal system, and the year of our Lord 2025, where they are because of accident of birth and live in fear of it all being taken away. How can they not be debased? So many people with the royalist mindset still think that family are their betters, when some of them are actually the worst human beings. That is true. So when Meghan entered the fray, she was presumed to bring ghetto. She instead showed them classiness, gentleness, brilliance, intelligence, kindness, fashion sense, business smarts, family, confidence, independence, and they try to bury her. They can't handle all of that. Yeah, this is a perfect response to that. Where is the lie? Okay, so let's go to the next tweet.
Levanaka. It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life. You are all in this together, and if I may speak personally, we are all in this together, because asking for help was one of the best decisions that I ever made. You will be continually amazed how life changes for the better.